Hey, welcome back to the Owner Operator Podcast. I'm your host, Austin Gray. And in this episode, I'm hosting Andy Walker. He is a co-founder of Stryker Digital. Stryker Digital specializes in SEO services for home service businesses. Now, Andy and Bodie, his partner, have been helping me with Bear Claw on our SEO, and they have been absolutely crushing it. This was a super fun episode because we dove into some of the details as to how they are getting us to the top of the search results in our home state. So stick around for the whole episode if you want to learn more about SEO services for small, local home service businesses. And we also just got into the general topics of how they're thinking about building their business. So this one was a lot of fun. I hope you stick around for the whole episode. I think you'll learn something from them. Like I said, they are crushing it for us. Once again, if you are listening to this and you are interested in starting your own local service business, you can check out Owner Ops. That is ownerops.com, OWNROPS.com. We help people start local service businesses. So without further ado, let's jump into the episode. Thanks. Real quick, wanted to share with you two agency partners who have helped me grow Bear Claw Land Services. Stryker Digital manages all of our SEO services, and they've got us to #1 on Google for specific search terms within our local service business. Cedar Digital Consulting manages all of our social media and YouTube, and they make it very simple for owner operators like myself. All I have to do is go take photos and videos in the field, upload those on my phone to a shared iCloud album very quickly, and they handle everything else from there. They edit and they publish. I don't have to worry about it. I can focus on growing my business. So if you're looking for SEO services, check out Stryker Digital. That's Stryker, STRYKER -digital.com. And for social media, check out Cedar Digital Consulting. That's CEDAR digitalconsulting.com. All right. Welcome back to the Owner Operator Podcast. I'm your host, Austin Gray. And in this episode, I've got Andy Walker, the real wizard behind Stryker Digital. You guys have heard Bodie before, but Andy is his business partner, and he's the one who makes things happen on the back end. So welcome to the show, Andy.
Thank you. Yeah, Bodie's definitely more front facing. Everybody knows Bodie. I'm on the back end, more hidden, just on the operations. I want to be more front facing, but I have to recognize like what my skill set is, and it's definitely better on the back end than it is on the front end.
I guess I shouldn't refer either as the real wizard, but y'all are doing great things together, and it's been really fun to work with you guys.
Yep, I agree. It's great to have people that are like, for our client base, it's great to have people who are long-term oriented and willing to, because like our goal is, we don't want to just go work with somebody for like 4 or 5 months and like get some results and they're like, oh, I'm going to move on. It's like, no, we actually want to work with people for a long time and get a lot of results. And I just was having a conversation with a client that we've been with for probably like a year and a half or almost maybe 2 years even. I don't know. But when we started with them, they're a dumpster rental company out in California, and they're doing like $2,000 a month at this point. And we started running their ads. Now we do their SEO, but now they're doing $50,000 to $60,000 a month. And we were talking about how cool it's going to be when eventually they're doing $150,000 a month. And we are their primary lead generator. Obviously, word of mouth comes to play, because the way I view lead generation, like if you do SEO or you do Google Ads, you're just lead generation. That's what you are. But you're providing people the opportunity to build a brand and get the word of mouth, because you just simply have to get people through the door, and then you provide your excellent service and so on. And then that leads to building a brand, which a brand is actually how you get big. Like you clearly understand that with Bear Claw, you're getting the equipment or apt, you're wearing the hat right now. You understand the importance of a brand. It's not just get a customer in and then focus on the next customer. The one customer that you get can bring so much more value to your business over the course of 1 or 2 years through them using your service again, or them recommending you to other people that need your service because you did such an excellent job for them.
And it's so true. And I'm glad we just jumped right into this. So like this dude, Jake, bought Colorado Power Wash, the website you guys helped build not long ago. And we were talking about that. It's like in the beginning, nobody is going to know this brand, but you either have to physically go out and knock on doors and tell people, which you should be doing in the beginning when you're starting a business anyway, but you can rapidly accelerate the growth if you hire a professional like you and Bodie to do what you guys do well and get those leads in the door, because that's just like when you're starting a business, you're just at baseline, right? Nobody has seen your brand. Nobody recognizes that brand yet. But every single eye that gets on that brand gives you an opportunity to then further the exposure. And so I'm such a believer in like, and I made this decision early on that when I started working with you guys, it's like, when I start, I'm going to go knock doors, but I'm also going to pay the pros, do what they do well, and start getting that traction online and getting that exposure. And you guys are crushing it.
You got to do both. You if you want to build a big business, you have to do both. Like I see people, they'll want to come to us and they just want to do only SEO. That's it. That's the only marketing efforts they're going to do. I'm like, okay, like this is going to get you some business, and it can be sustainable. But there's going to be periods of time if you're solely reliant on SEO. There's going to be 1 week where you get 5 calls, 10 calls, but then you're going to go dry for a week because it's just the nature of it. You can be ranking up top, but how many people are searching for your service and making a decision to buy in that period of time in your local market? There's going to be variability upon it. So when one goes dry for a week, then Google Ads is working for you. Then the offense driven, I just recently put out a video about this, which you're kind of alluding to it, is being on the offense, because SEO and Google Ads are, I consider it kind of like, it's not fully defense. It's like a midfield position in soccer where you're up on the attack and you're back defending at times, but you're, in a sense, it's defense because you're waiting for people to search about your service, when a lot of times, like pressure washing, maybe, for example, people don't realize the benefit that it can have to their home, extend their roof life. So you have to be on the attack and make people aware of this. And build brand awareness by getting out in front of people and talking to people. You can't just sit behind your computer waiting all day long. It's one like SEO and Google Ads are like one part of the strategy. It's one singular part of it, and it can get you an okay sized business. But if your goals are to have a big business, you're going to need everything firing all together at some point, or else, I mean, that's the only way. And that's how you being on the offense is also another way to build brand.
And then it just all works together, though. It's like if you can put the big plan together, if you can play offense, if you can play midfield, and if you can play defense, everything starts working together. Because what happens is, if people are seeing your trucks wrapped or your equipment wrapped, driving the road, and all of a sudden they see an ad on their phone, which this is specifically happening right now, and then they go search you on Google, and oh, by the way, next time they search tree services or land clearing or whatever, and then your brand pops up, it all works together. I've seen that truck before. I've seen those guys on Facebook. I've seen those guys on, like coming through on my ad feed. Then that's when it really starts to take place. And so, man, I've just been super excited that you guys are delivering at the rate that you delivered. I went into this whole thing with like a 2-year plan with SEO.
Yep.
And I don't set the wrong expectations for other people here. Yes. But you guys are like, when I started working with you guys, it's like, holy crap, you're just crushing right out the gate.
Yeah, I mean, the goal is, so this is something when I do like an onboarding call with a new client, I'm like, our goal is like, we want to get you winning as soon as possible, but we also have to do this safely, because we can go get you some quick wins. We can do some things that will get you quick wins. But if your goal is to, for you, for example, Bear Claw is going to be big. It's in Colorado right now, but it's clearly, you have the opportunity. It's just a matter of, it just takes time to get there. Like the ball is already rolling in the way to get even bigger. It just takes time is the only factor at this point, time and consistency. But we're trying to set people up for the next decade. So we're trying to do things safely by acquiring the right links, doing everything right, because I've just seen it too many times now already where we have people come to us and, whoever they're working with before, they try to do it on their own. They have these terrible link profiles. Like one I think Bodie and I mentioned a lot is like, we'll see backlinks that people have, and it's from like WeBuyPercocetsOnline.com and things like that. It's like, those aren't what we want. And like right now for Bear Claw, I sent you that update yesterday, and I'm like, we're in a good position. We just need to maintain and protect where we're at. We don't need to be super aggressive, and it's knowing when to dial back a little bit, because we don't want to do anything that could potentially harm us in the long run. When we're already there, let's just there's not like a ton more to do other than protect what we have right now, right? Until maybe expansion into a different state or further away and things like that. But so like there are some markets we come into, like in more rural areas, where it's like 2 or 3 months go by and like our clients are super thrilled. But then like if you're competing in like New York City or Houston, Texas, you can't expect, you definitely got to have like a 2-year timeline on that one, because you're stepping into a market where you haven't done anything yet, and there's tons and tons of competitors, just so much digital competition already. But then there's people in those markets that have been investing thousands and thousands of dollars with really good people for a long time. If you think you just want to step in and take over, that you're in for a rude awakening, that's for sure.
So let's talk about that, because Bodie and I have talked about this a couple different times, and he's talked about, hey, these are sweet spot markets that I like to go in, and I know that we can just crush in these markets. If somebody's starting a business right now, a lot of our listeners are people who are trying to start a local service business. What would you recommend that they consider from a geographical perspective,
Yep.
as far as like where to position, which location targets to go after in relation to those big competitive markets?
Yeah. So like talking about the competitive markets first, what's going to happen is you're going to get swallowed up, because if you're a pressure washer and you're coming in and like, this is your first business or your second business, but you don't have these super deep pockets, if you can't spend $20,000 or $30,000 a month on Google Ads, you can't compete. To rank in these markets is going to take an extraordinary long amount of time to get there, and just to get the job to get reviews, because you need to get Google reviews too, because that's a major factor in the process as well. But when you're just like, I don't know like an exact like mile radius or so, but like most people are going to be able to think through this themselves. But for example, like if you're in Philadelphia, right, you want to probably compete just a little bit outside of Philly, because a lot of the people that have money travel into the city for work. Same with New York City and other locations. Like I'm here in Fort Lauderdale, people travel to Miami for work. I mean, there's a lot of wealth distributed here, and there's a lot of competition. But when you can go like a little bit inland, to where these people aren't competing there because they're focused on this major market where there's like 10 million people like in a small location. And then when they're so focused on this and their teams here, their trucks are here, they don't necessarily want to go driving 2 hours out of their way to take their team to one job to go there. And so they don't necessarily want to compete in these markets, because those markets aren't $100 million markets for the big guys. They're like a $5 million market. But if you're just somebody like us, a $5 million market that you can win without that competition is a great place to be. I mean, that's a great win. And that could be depending on, it all depends on what you want, like what your goals are. But if you just want to play the game for the fun of the game, and like, because it eventually just becomes like, it's not even like the money is like just a scoreboard, right? It's not even necessarily like the money. It's just like, what level can I play the game at? Can I play this at the highest level? Can I compete in the NFL? Basically, is what this is like. But once you get that first win in one of these smaller areas, now you have a budget where you can come compete here. I still don't know why you would. We both know, I think Austin Linney, right? He talks a lot about, he has close to where I grew up in Pennsylvania. He has a HVAC business that's in a pretty rural area, and they cover a wide radius. Like the cost per click on Google Ads is like $5. If you did that cost per click here in like Miami or Fort Lauderdale, you're probably going to pay like $40 for that click, because there's all the competition, all the people competing there. So I would say, I know like that's kind of just like providing information, not answering the question, but I think that's the best way to help people think through it. But it's definitely, I see a lot of people, they just like, I'm going to start this business, and they just start it, and they don't even look at the market at all. The least you can do is go on Google and type in what service you're providing and see what companies are already competing there, and try and do just a base level of market research, and think to yourself, can I compete with these guys? Because there are operators that can come in there and compete with them. Like we did a podcast with Casey, the pest control guy in Colorado. And I don't have any doubt in my mind that he could come into any market and make a dent for sure. There's always like, people always talk about, oh, the market's saturated, this market's saturated. Like, I don't believe every market, if there's a way to make money, every market's going to be saturated. There's going to be people there doing it. But somehow, time and time again, over and over again, somebody comes into the market and makes money. Like, Nobody thought like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, the big guys. How can you possibly break in that? There comes TikTok. It happens, and that's competing at the highest level with those. That's not even just a local service business where the bar to excellence is much lower in the local businesses. But now I'm going off a little bit, but I hope that like provides some clarity on how to think through it, to identify the right way to do it, because you just have to understand your competition.
Sure, for sure. Yeah, I love Casey, man. I would place my bets on him all day long, going even in a big market. It's just the reps under his belt. He understands like how to drive revenue. He understands his unit economics. But his, like, to further the point that we're going on, he started in a secondary, like a second tier market.
Yep.
They're like third, maybe even third tier. Like, he's competing in Grand Junction to start out. I mean, I haven't looked and I haven't studied the market, but I think you could go. Don't get me wrong. This isn't knocking anybody running a business in Grand Junction. What I'm saying is, you go and try to start a service business in Grand Junction, it's not going to be as hard as starting a service business in Denver.
No, yeah.
So like, that would be a market that I would love to start a service business in personally, because yes, you probably have some very well established business, but they're probably, a lot of them are, boomer owners. They haven't invested a lot in the digital space. I'm just taking a wild guess here. And if they were, you could move a little bit outside of that Grand Junction market. You could touch your specific, those specific areas right outside of it, and then get some quick wins on the SEO side. Like, I guarantee you, if you started something, and picked a very niche service and targeted for some of those little towns right outside of that, you could scoop those up pretty quickly. And that's where I'm going with this conversation. And so, let's talk about this tactically, because you and Bodie been working on projects. Like, I keep feeding you guys stuff to build because I've got unending amounts of ideas for service business. I'm not losing focus of Bear Claw. Like, all of my focus is on Bear Claw. I literally did nothing with Colorado Power Wash other than create the brand and let you guys do your thing, right? And you guys are already like proving that you can get leads there. So let's talk something like Colorado Tree Service. If you were going to brand a new business going into a new market, and you and I haven't even talked about this, so this is all real time. Like, how would you coach me specifically from the SEO side to create a brand? Would you go at the statewide level branding? Would you go with something more general, like, I saw some guy on Twitter create something like Fast Tree Service or something with the, like a general brand like that to scale up nationally? Or would you say, hey, Austin, pick the exact market that you want to be in? Let's take Winter Park, for example, right? Or let's Steamboat in Colorado. And would you coach me on going like Steamboat Tree Service? I'm just using it as an example, guys.
Yep. Yeah, I'm helping another person with this as well for a painting company right now, and they want to target a wider area, so it's like statepaintingservice.com, because I mean, if you can just completely exact match what people search in your domain and then also on your Google business profile, you're already starting ahead. And in these competitive markets, like in Denver, people know that already. Like, if you look up painting company in Denver, it's going to be Colorado Painting Company, Denver Painting Company. People recognize that. But in these second and third tier markets, people don't recognize that. And then it makes it really like that. Those are quick wins. Like, if you go into one of these third tier markets and you have like an exact match domain plus Google business profile, you're going to get quick wins immediately, because when somebody searches for your service, so example, we have a client in Hawaii, does carpet cleaning. They want to add pressure washing, and in their business name on their Google business profile is carpet cleaning, and I'm like, this is going to be terribly hard to rank a Google business profile for pressure washing when you have the term carpet cleaning in it. And then we search pressure washing on the island he's in, and the first one is pressure washing island. Like, I don't want to give up his specific place without his approval, but that's the number one ranking Google business profile with an exact match domain. And I'm like, no matter the quality of backlinks and quantity of backlinks we get, it's going to be like, we can rank up there with them, but they're likely always going to outcompete us, because if you're searching for pressure washing X Island and their business name is pressure washing X Island, they're going to show first. It's just a digital hack to do it. And the weird thing about this is, though, is this is a way to like definitely digital hack. But if you're trying to like build a big business for the long term, sometimes you want to brand it differently. Like the name like Bear Claw is like, that's like something you build a brand around. I mean, you definitely can do it with, just like location and name. But if you're trying to like be multi-state, or, national or things like that, then you're going to have like multiple different brands, because then you're going to have to do like California Power Wash and, so on over and over again. But you can definitely get quick wins if you can. And the more highly targeted it is, the better. So like back home where I'm from, I'm outside of Williamsport, Pennsylvania, which nobody's probably ever heard of. But if I did pressure washing Williamsport, there's no competition there, because we already work with somebody in that area, and they're number one across the whole place, because there's no competition digitally at all. I mean, there's people that provide the service, but they don't have the foresight to invest correctly with the right people to do it. But when you do that, because you're also communicating with the algorithm. Like it's an algorithm that everything that we do is to communicate with Google's algorithm exclusively. On-page content that we build for this service and this location is to communicate to the algorithm. And then every single location, every single service area that you have, build content around it, communicate to the algorithm, force them, put Google Search Console on, force it to crawl the pages, get these pages indexed. And then now there's going to be showing in SERPs, which then as the SERPs gain traffic, it's going to translate to your Google business profile rankings, and it's going to go up. But definitely, if you can exact match, like even highly targeted, like just Williamsport versus like a statewide, it's going to be even more powerful, right? Both are going to be both are going to be good. They're both going to be good, but the more targeted you get, the better. But then it runs into the issue is most people aren't just going to service one town. They're going to service like all the surrounding towns. So then it looks a little bit goofy when your name is only this location.
Yeah, definitely. And that's so I used elements, and I guided this one guy who owned this company, and I won't give away his company just out of privacy, but it was a construction industry, and it was named Colorado Plus the Service. And I went to the website, and it was like, wow, it literally looked like it was built in the 90s, but he built a business that he exited like 10 million bucks from. And I was like, why did you like, and his brand was literally like a Colorado flag. And you look at, like coming from working in tech, a while back, it's like, I'm kind of a design nerd. So if something is branded well, I immediately associate that with like, this is a forward thinking company, right? And then you go and see a company that's just like very simple branding, like, I agree, but they're still big businesses. So I was asking him, I'm like, why did you choose the name? He's like, dude, it's simple. Like, if you just choose the name of your state plus your service, he's like, people immediately associate you with being the leader in that space in the area. He's like, psychologically, people do that. And so then I went and tested it. I launched this before I started working with you guys, but I launched Colorado Hot Tub, a website here. And I just put a Google My Business on Main Street. And I was like, holy crap. Like within 2 weeks, people were calling. This, as soon as we got the Google My Business profile launched, had a professional website, had a professional brand. And I can remember we went to Florida for Thanksgiving, and my phone was ringing, and I remember telling mom, I'm like, honey, I think we're in the hot tub business now. And and so that was when the light bulb clicked. That was several years ago. So we've all done it a couple times since then. But I'm really interested in this concept of picking sort of a location plus a service and then going and building a business specifically off of that. Because here's the thing, like if you're just starting your business your first time, like, yes, you may have a goal of like creating a national business, but if this is your first, just get wet in one local market and learn how to operate a business, right? And then I'm going to tell you right now, for those of you listening, you could build a lifelong legacy business by owning one state. And if anybody else tells you differently, I will argue to the death on that, unless your goals are to become a billionaire with a B. But for most people who want to create a great business that put cash flow in their pocket, that strategy, in my mind, is fairly foolproof. Would you agree or disagree, or add anything or take anything away from that?
Yeah, I think you just changed my perspective a little bit when you talked about that construction guy and saying like when you attach the state name to it, people recognize you as a leader. I didn't view it that way, and now I think I changed my mind a little bit after hearing you say that, because it kind of looks like you are the state's company, like you are the representative of the state for the service to an extent. I'm not talking about like government recognized or anything, but there is definitely something that's like the Colorado Rockies, like the baseball team, like you give them the name and it's just like prestige with it. When you put the state's name in it, there's some prestige in there. So I think I had like maybe a little perspective change on that. And going back to this, like if I was to start a home service business, I would do the same thing. I would do the same thing. I would probably go, because like you just mentioned, like if you want to be a billionaire, you're gonna have to go crazy, and you're not gonna have any work-life balance. You're not gonna see your kids. You're not gonna see your family. All that type of stuff to like reach that level. So it depends on like what you want, but you definitely only need to own one market, and you can have a great life. Families on vacation, you 3 vacations a year, you have a nice home, you can buy your kids a baseball bat, you can buy them new cleats, you don't have to worry about that. You can definitely live that lifestyle owning one market in a 20-mile radius. That's very, very possible to do. It all just like everything we talk about depends on the goals of the person. And when starting this business, and as it was starting to move and starting to take off more, I communicated to my wife, and she's all on board. I'm like, these next 3-4 years, I have the opportunity to make a significant change in our life forever. So these next 3 or 4 years, I'm trying to be the best husband I can be, but you got to understand, I'm going to sacrifice this time, this short period of time right now, because this is going to benefit us 10 years, 20 years from now. And, she's on board with that. And, as long as you communicate that, this is like a maybe off topic, but I think it's important for people to hear. So as long as you communicate that to your partner and also your business partner, you got to make sure that you guys are aligned too. Because something that I really, really love, someone I look up to from the My First Million podcast is Sam Parr. I love that podcast. And he sold his business to HubSpot. He had The Hustle, was a daily newsletter, sold that to HubSpot. And then he did some other things, but then he started his new business. That's like his legacy business. Like he's probably going to have this business for decades at this point. And he started with his partner, Joe. I can't think of Joe's last name, but it's called Hampton. It's a community for founders. It's basically, you can't join this unless you're like doing a couple $1 million in revenue. And then they put you into a certain pod with people that own similar businesses as you, kind of at the same growth rate, revenue levels. And there's people in there from like $5 million businesses to like billion-dollar CEOs in there. But when they were starting this business, they independently wrote down what they wanted, the lifestyle they wanted, the size of business that they wanted to build, because it becomes if you have a partnership, it becomes a marriage, and a partnership can be the best thing that ever happens to you, or potentially the worst thing that ever happens to you. Because Bodie and I joke that we're married. We often talk to each other more than we talk to our significant others, because you have to. It has to be that way. But I thought that was really, really cool that they laid out everything that they wanted, the lifestyle they wanted, the ability to spend their time, the type of amounts of money they want to make, what they wanted the business to be, how long they wanted, if their goal was to exit it or run this for a long time. Then they came together and said, will this work? Will we be able to do this together? And it's a very logical way to go about that. And I think that a partnership in business is like, this business couldn't be doable without Bodie. He couldn't do it without me, for us. And it gives you so much leverage when you find that. I think it's extremely difficult to find, but personally, I would never want to start a business without a partner. It's more fun to do it together, I think, in like a team environment. If you don't have it, if you want to do it, you have to start by yourself, a lot of times, but eventually you're going to run into somebody. But then once you build something to a certain level, then partnerships are hard to bring someone in and give ownership and things like that. It's weird. This was a little off topic of SEO, but this is where my mind was going.
I love it, man. I love it. I think you hit so many nails on the head. It's like whenever you're starting, just write out the lifestyle you want to live, because you can take it as far as you want to go. in this business thing. And for me, I don't, I don't want to give up the family time and the leisure time that, I live in Colorado for a reason. Like, I want to be able to go ride my bike, snowmobile, shoot my bow, elk hunting, go fishing. Like, that's why I moved here. That's why I stayed here. Is building the business fun? Of course, absolutely, way better than a corporate job for me. But yeah, I know that I want to operate sort of like at the local and state level, and I know that that can provide a great lifestyle. That's just me, right? And I think everybody who's starting has to define that. Sounds like you and you and Bodie have done a really good job of defining that. And obviously, you guys got on the same page pretty quickly because you're growing quick.
Yep. Yeah, we're having a blast doing it. And I just want to touch on what you said of you like the ability to leisure time, family time, fishing, skiing, and things like that. And what I realized is the way people feel about that is dependent on the environment that they're in. Because I went back home to Pennsylvania where it's very rural. It's so rural. It's like 20 miles for me to get to Walmart from my house. It's middle of nowhere. There's not even a red light, where I live. There's a stop sign. That's the only thing. You drive through in 30 seconds. And when I was there, I was like ready to not I felt like I was ready to not grind as hard, hustle as hard because life is slower there. People enjoy different things. But then when you live in a place like Fort Lauderdale, like Miami is directly connected. It's right below us. And then, throughout here, it's just like the culture is like hustle, hustle, grind, like as hard as you can. That's like the culture of things here. So when I'm here, I feel like that. It's like I feel like I can't stop. So before we started the podcast, I said there's something magical about this place. You come here and just somehow you level up because you feel like you're forced to because of the people that you're around, and to be able to afford to live here and go out to dinner and things like that, you have to. But then when I went to that other environment back home, I was like, oh, you don't have to be like that. It's I think part of it's a matter of the environment you put yourself in is a big deciding factor of that.
Yeah, definitely. So what are some of your goals? Like, both spending some time down there right now. Like, you guys are doing really good work right now. Like, what are your goals with Stryker? You guys have carved out a niche here in the home service space.
Yeah. I don't have like a goal written down, but what we talked about earlier, it's like how far can you take the game, at this point? Because so some background on me, I've never ever like been able to just like sit and tread water and be comfortable. I don't know if there's something that's like maybe I'm running. Sometimes I think entrepreneurs like, are we running away from something because we're keeping ourselves so busy and so stressed about the next thing, and like, is there something like mentally that I need to deal with that I'm running from right now? But since I was a little kid, I was always like, I used to spend a lot of time at the skate park, and I rode a scooter then. Scooters are massively popular now at the skate park. They weren't back then, and it was just on the come up. It was small. There was like one forum. I was like 12 years old, and one of the issues you run into is your bars would break all the time if you really rode the scooters hard because nobody made good ones. There was like one company out there that made these bars, and at 12 years old, I was building a scooter team to make YouTube videos with. I got stickers, and I wanted to like learn how to weld to make bars. And then I don't know, that kind of fell to the side as I got into sports. And then wrestling was the only thing I thought about 24/7. I would go to wrestling practice, I'd come home, and I'd get on flowwrestling.com, and I would watch people wrestle till I went to bed, and the same thing every day. That's all I would do. And then that ended, and I became a bodybuilder. You won't believe it looking at me now, but I was pretty legit. And that's the only thing I did. I only ate my meals. I only worked out. I stopped going out and hanging out with friends because then my sleep would be messed up. My food would be messed up because I had a goal to achieve. I recognized that it's hard, like even just growing these businesses, it's hard to do it, but it's actually simple. It's not super complex. It's simple to do. There's other people that have done it. So just what have they done, and just do what they've done, and you will get there. You have to sacrifice things to achieve it. But now Stryker is the thing that is the only thing I do and think about all the time, 24/7. And so naturally the goal becomes to grow and grow and grow, provide something that I'm obsessed with within the business, since I'm on the back end, the operations side of it, is providing the best client experience as well. Because an issue that I recognize with most agencies is like, so for example, for you, you have your own Slack channel with us. the team is in there. Anytime you got a question, the goal is to get a response time as quick as possible, because other agencies, you're only going to communicate with them by email. You're going to send them an email. You're going to get a response 2 days later. Maybe it's a request to your website. That request will take place like a week and a half from now, and then you'll get an email back. Versus, the client experience with us is you have your own independent Slack channel and you can communicate with us. And we will respond to you on Saturdays, Sundays, Fridays at 10 p.m. We're responding to messages, which is like, it's hard to like keep that pace forever, but right now we can. But I think that's like a major differentiator in like the client experience, because you're like, oh, these people actually care. And it's like, hell yeah, I care. Like, this is my reputation. This is my face on this business. This is like, this is us. This is our baby. I care deeply about you and everybody else, because, like, I don't ever want, like, because naturally in business, there's going to be times where you don't quite get the result that you want to get people. But when people leave Stryker, I don't want them, I want to make sure when they leave, if we weren't able to accomplish their goal, that they never feel like these guys didn't do everything they possibly could to help me achieve this goal. Like, at the bare minimum, you're always going to feel like they did everything that they could and they tried, put in all their effort. That's how I feel. But from like a dollar amount goal, it's to go up, the number to go up naturally, but like, don't have like a specific number in mind. It's the problem solving of the game is just so fun. Sometimes it's so stressful, but sometimes, I was talking about this last night, sometimes I put so much stress on myself that I don't need to be that stressed. But I realize placing that stress on myself requires me to get better. And so I don't have like a concrete answer to like the goal question, but those are like things I enjoy about the process of the game that I love and it's fun. And like I said, I don't tread water well. I need to constantly be moving forward, or I feel like I'm going backwards. But that's something that I probably need to like deal with myself, talk to somebody about sometime.
I mean, I think the reality is, to answer your question, like, I think we are all running from something.
Yeah.
I don't know what mine is yet. I don't know what yours is yet, but most of us are wired very similarly, right? You were part of sports. You've exercised, like, you take the weightlifting very serious. It's like we're all cut from the same mold. And what I've learned is that if you're wired like this, you're wired like this. And for a long time, like, there were several years where I tried to fight it. And I think one of my friends told me this. He's like, look, and this guy hit it real big in crypto. And he was like 6 years old, right? Like, life-changing money, could have not worked a day in his life. But he chose, and I'll probably have him on the podcast at some point. He's still a really good friend, but building a single-family real estate investment portfolio. And he's doing it at scale. Buying in Ohio, living in Colorado, part of the time, New York the other part of the time. Anyways, he had the opportunity to do nothing. He could have. But he's wired like you and I are talking about. And he said this very clearly. I've realized this about myself at this point. I either have to go all in on something, or I have to figure out a way to be all out.
Yeah, there's no middle ground.
His point was like, I need to go on like a lifelong meditation retreat and disconnect from everything, if that's all out, and figure out a way to just live like a hermit in the woods. Or I'm going to go all in on something and build the absolute best thing I can possibly build, because the game is fun. And every single day you're challenged with something to get better. It's no different than lifting weights. Like, you have to stress that muscle to get growth out of it. And I think you and I are so aligned on that. Every single day I'm challenged to get better. Is creating a small business hard? Is creating an SEO agency hard? Yes, it is hard. But newsflash, that's why you like it. That's why I like it.
Yep. We secretly love the stress.
Absolutely. But that's why I like working with people like you as an agency partner, because when you guys are responding that fast, it's like, yeah, we're all in different businesses, but we have the same expectations inside our business. We get an inbound lead. Like, you guys are getting this inbound lead, and we're creating the same type of standards inside our company. Like, our response should be now. Like, if it's not now, you're late, right? If you're past 5 minutes, whenever you call an inbound lead, you've already lost. But if you
Yep.
call that lead now, we get that job, right? Same thing with
Yep.
you guys. Like response time is it's so awesome around people who want to get better every single day. So thanks for what you guys are doing. It is it is this level of customer service you're delivering.
Awesome. Thank you. It's good to hear because, when you're in the business, you can only think of the negatives, like, oh, this happened, you know, you don't like a lot of times, like still in my mind, like when we get somebody results, it's like, oh, that must have been luck. I don't ever like step back and think, oh, maybe we are actually good at what we do, because you feel like you could never be good enough. And then like if someone has a bad experience, it's like that's the only thing you can think about. You can't think about there could be it's the same thing across life, but you could have 1,000 positive experiences and one negative, and that you can only focus on that negative. It's like Warren Buffett says it takes 20 years to build a reputation. It takes like 1 second to ruin a reputation or something along those lines. And so we just like spend more time thinking about like the negatives than all the positives. So there's something to be said about like taking time to reflect on the positive outcomes as well.
Yeah, 100%. So if I'm starting a business, excuse me, I'm like losing my voice right now. If I'm starting a business, if I'm starting a new local service business, and I come to you and I'm like, look, man, I've saved up, I've got a year's worth of salary in the bank, I quit my corporate job, I'm going in on this business. Where do you recommend that I spend my marketing budget?
Yep. Number one, absolutely. Like if you don't build your website yourself, have somebody build your website for you because this is your website's your first impression. It's like when you go meet a girl, you're out at the gym, you're at the bar, wherever this place is, your first impression is going to make or break everything. The way that you approach, your level of confidence, the way you speak, the way you dress, the way you look. And that's your website. Your website's your digital real estate, your 24/7 salesperson that operates all the time while you sleep and never shuts down. So that needs to be on point first. And that should be obvious to most people. I feel like I shouldn't have to say that, but obviously, like in order to get digital leads, you need to have one of those, and you want it to be designed correctly to convert customers. Websites first, and then I always have the conversation with people about. So some people like are serial entrepreneurs, and they just want to test an idea quick. They want to see like, can I get traction in this? And I'm like, okay, at this point, SEO is probably not the right investment for you because it's a slower closing feedback loop. Versus if you go pay for Google Ads, your feedback loop is going to close really fast, and within 2 months, you're going to have a lot of feedback that you can act and implement on. I think so. That's typically like if you're a fresh business and you don't have a ton of money and you need to close the feedback loop fast and you need to make money soon, ads is probably the best option immediately. Once you already have some cash flow coming in, and now you are able to look 2 years out, 1, 2, 3 years out. Now SEO is the right investment for you at that time initially, and it's dependent on your service and the way people are going to find your service. So like clearly cleaning companies and pressure washing and junk removal and things like ads are going to work really well because it's a high volume service. And clearly SEO works for you as well, even though it's not quite as high volume of a service for what you do. Like you do bigger jobs, they're higher ticket sizes and things like that, but it still works. But a major part of your business, and I'm just assuming this from what I read and like what you've told me, you know, and it goes back to what we said, like SEO is a way to like get you a customer that you get to provide a great experience for. And then you were talking about on Twitter, you're getting them wrapped because you were providing this service for someone, and the neighbor was like, "Oh, I could use this service." That's the whole idea. But initially, it's like website Google Business Profile, absolutely necessary. You can't. There's no way around that. That's number one. There's no way around that. And then it's the decision based off of what's going to be right for you and your timeline and the amount of capital you have. If you have a year of salary already saved back, probably SEO is an okay investment to make at that time. Yeah, it's just like there's no like super concrete answer about it. And we like on our like when Bodie does our sales calls and when I do calls with people as well, I'm like, I don't want to. We're not just taking anybody on because like we don't want to just we talked about earlier. Like I don't want to just work with you for a couple months and then you're like, oh, I'm out of money. Like I can't do this anymore. It's like setting the correct expectations and saying, this isn't a get rich quick scheme. We're not going to start this and tomorrow and next week you're just going to be flooded and you're going to be getting calls all the time. Like, that's not realistic. And if that was realistic, I would be living in one of those mansions on the beach, if it was that easy to do. So yeah, it's website, Google business, and then it's the decision between SEO and Google Ads. Or I would mention both. If you can afford both, that's the best. We work with a roofing company nearby, and I was in the area that they service. And I searched roofing companies near me. Number one on Google Ads, number one on Google LSA, number one on the map pack. And I'm like, at that point, how do you not get the call? There's only one other person in there that you could have possibly called. They're going to call you. Your website's beautiful, way better than the other guy, which is going to have an impact on the first experience, because your website is a representation of the quality of what people are going to assess, how quality they believe your service to be based off of how your website looks as well. You want to be professionally branded across the board, from the shirts that you wear to your website. Long answer to the question, but there's just like thoughts to put into it about, like what is best. And I say Google Ads and SEO together because of that example of the roofer, because if you can get seen in Google Ads and in the map pack for the organic results, and then they go to the SERPs, like the actual website organic ranking section, and you're there as well, the probability of you getting the call over someone else is much, much higher at that point.
Yeah, and if I can add something in there, I've talked about this a couple times online. Like, I would ask you the question, if you're listening to this, would you spend $18,000 to get, what was it? I can't remember the number here. Let me do the math real quick. Would you spend 18 to get 350K back? The answer is yes. Then I would recommend going into a long-term game with the SEO strategy and picking one location and one service and owning the search results for that. And I can say that from experience because that happened to us last year. We went all in on this SEO thing. I think we spent 18 grand, guys, this year. What, $1,500 a month on one of your packages. And that converted a job. I can tell you the story right now. It's a commercial general contractor searched our area plus our service, and we pop up. Now, you have to put a sales plan involved, and you have to have standards there. But he called us from our Google My Business account and our website, one of the two, and that ended up being a big project for us in the first year and a half of our business. And so, in my perspective, yeah, maybe there's some luck there, right? But at the same time, one could argue, if you own one area in one search term, at some point you're going to get that call. You never know when that call is going to come. So that's why if you answer your phone, if you pick up the phone, and then if you meet people in person, then you're going to get an opportunity like that. And those types of opportunities, in my opinion, that can make or break a small business early on. But you're not going to get that opportunity unless you either go headhunt and cold call and like visit people in person and go find those people, or invest in something like SEO where you're going to own a specific market and a search term. And so for the listeners, I would just encourage you, if you have a long-term perspective in mind, SEO has paid dividends, and it's still paying dividends. And I'm not even I'm not mentioning the 20, 30, 40, 50 or $75,000 jobs that we're getting. Like that investment coupled with, and we're doing ads too as well, so it's still working together. But I'm trying to hammer the point home that, would you put 18 in to get several hundred? And if the answer is yes, and if you have the capital, consider investing that with a professional. And all I can say is my experience with Andy and Bodie has been great. They're getting me results.
Well, thank you. Yeah, and I mean it's a logical step. If you can put $1 in and get $3 back, you should do that every single time forever, right? And
Yes.
you have the foresight to see the process through to get to that point, uh, which is like a major. It's and that goes back to like if you're starting the business, you have this amount of capital. It's the same thing in stocks. Everybody's a long-term investor until the price drops, and then everyone's worried about the next 3 weeks or so. And if you don't have the capital and you need the leads now, you're going to be super stressed and you're going to be down on yourself and you're going to be in this negative feedback loop that you don't want to be. But something I want to talk about, I don't know how much longer we're going to go, but I want to talk about doing things that don't scale. So there's this guy, his name's Paul Graham. I forget the name of the company that he started like back in like the 2000 tech boom or so, sold it for like $800 million, started Y Combinator, which has led early investments in like Stripe, Uber, DoorDash, like all these big unicorn companies. And they're like the startup accelerator. If you can get into Y Combinator's season 21, where they like, you come and you basically go through their startup school. Just give you some background about what he's built. And Sam Altman, who is now the OpenAI CEO, he eventually replaced Paul Graham in that position and then left to build OpenAI. So you can see like how prestigious this would be to take part in this. And he built this, but he has this website. I think it's probably just like paulgraham.com. And it's so old, like the design of it's so old. It's like pure HTML. It's just like bullet points with links to essays that he writes. And he has this one called Do Things That Don't Scale, because the things that you think don't scale actually scale your business, is kind of the premise of it. And for you, I saw a tweet from you in the past because you go on site, meet the person, shake their hand, build a relationship, give the estimate, the quote in person. And then you also, I think you had a tweet, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but you start doing them from Google Maps for a period of time, because this is what happens. This is a competitive advantage of a new person, is once people's business get this a certain scale, they think it's not scalable to like go do these in-person things, and they will send it from afar. Then the close rates drop considerably because they don't get to meet you and trust you. Like, when two humans meet, that's naturally going to happen. So there's always room for someone to come in and do that. And it's like, yeah, am I going to be able to do 25 of these a week if we reach a certain scale? Like, maybe not, but do it as long as you possibly can, and then train someone else to do it too, because it doesn't scale. Like, you, as a singular person, can you do that? No. If you're just starting a one-man pressure washing company, can you knock on doors every day forever? No, because like eventually you're going to get jobs, and then you're going to have to fulfill those jobs. You can't knock on the doors. But so it doesn't scale, but it gets the ball rolling for you. And so something that we did when we were first starting out is like, we had no credibility, no trust, barely any. Cody's business was our only case study, so like not that much evidence of what we were able to do. So something I did was I went on Facebook, I looked up tons of local businesses. I found ones with very bad websites, but I was like very specific. I'm like, I want to make sure they at least care about their digital presence. So are they active on Facebook? Do they have a website? Because if they don't have a website, then it's even going to be harder to sell a website to someone who doesn't have a website than someone that does. And I would make them a landing page, just a home page, and I would send this to them. And I would say, hey, my name's Andy from Stryker Digital. I created you this website. I would attach a Loom video, and I would show them the design. I'd walk them through why I did this, how I did this, like the purpose of it and how it's going to benefit them. And it worked. Can you do that forever? No, you can't do that forever. But is it going to get you your first 10 customers if you do that? Yeah, it did. Like, it happened. And like, that's a digital business example, but there's plenty of examples out there for physical businesses that can do pretty much the same thing. Definitely doable.
It's such a good point. Thank you for bringing it up. And yes, to kind of dive in deeper about those tweets that you were mentioning. So early on, like I mentioned, when I got that call, I had a standard and I handled all of our sales whenever I was starting the business. And as soon as I had people in the field, my main focus was sales, right? So if somebody called, if a lead comes in, I have all these automations set up to where I get texted the lead. As soon as they come in, I literally click the number and call. Hey, it's Austin from Bear Claw. I just saw that you filled out the form on our website. How are you? And then you stop. And here's my point. It's, if you're getting the response from the customer, something along the lines of this, wow, that was fast. Like, you're not getting that response, you're too slow. And I will get that response so many times. And so then I just set that as the standard, kind of going back to your point earlier. It's like, how can you get better at something, right? Like, this is the standard. And so I was doing that. And then I'd just be like, they'd be like, so when can you come see the project? And I'm like, how about right now? And I'd just go. And then you're there and you shake their hand and you're there in a company branded shirt and a hat. And they immediately think professional company, right? Business is just a game of psychology. It's all you're doing. Like, are they dealing with a professional or are they dealing with some hack off of Craigslist? We want to be the complete opposite of that, right? 5-star service from start to finish. So I was doing that first 18 months of the business, right? You helped me. You and Bodie helped me launch that location in Castle Rock, which is 2.5 hours away from where we are. We did that so that we could have work in the wintertime when snow is here. So what do I have to do? Drive 3 hours for a site walk. And blows my whole day, right? Got to the point where I'm like, dang, I did like, 3 or 4 tire kickers who didn't book on the spot. And I was down. So the next lead I got, I sit here on the computer, I pull up Onyx maps. I'm like, all right, how can I do this better, right? I'm going to automate this. So like I send it on Google Earth, all this stuff, and I just give them this estimate. I just like send them a fast estimate. I lost like no response, like 5 in a row. So then I was like, screw this, man. Like, this is not what works in this type of business. People want to deal with people. And so I made that conclusion at that point. And then at that point, I'm like, we have to hire a salesperson. If we're going to grow, like, I have to be able to hire somebody else who can do this, handle a certain volume. I can still be involved once volume doubles, right? And then we just go hire more sales and estimators.
Yep.
Point with this is, like, people want to do business with people, especially at the local level. And to your point, that in some of these like tech-minded people, those kinds of things aren't scalable. Yep, that's not scalable for you to drive 3 hours. Well, guess what happens if you win a $50,000 project? Was it worth your 3 hours driving down? Yes.
Big time.
So that's my whole point on the standards for local small business sales. If you just show up in company branded apparel, if you answer your phone, if you book the site walk within 24 hours, you are drastically increasing your chances of winning that project.
I want to add one thing to that, because what we're talking about at this point is human trust and credibility, and how do you get more of that? Because, like you said, people want to do business with people. They want to do it with someone they can trust. And if they feel like they really like you and trust you, they want to spend money with you. And that leads to referrals then too. So I tell people that you can leverage your existing customer base to grow. If you're doing a good job for people, you want to tell people about it, but like you just don't always do it. But if you place an incentive in place, say a double-sided incentive program, where if, say, you're a cleaning company and you're providing a great customer experience, and you send them an email or a text, whatever, it's like, hey, we're going to give you your next free clean if you refer us somebody, and they book a clean with us, and we'll give them 10% off their clean. Now you're leveraging. Now there's no customer. I guess you can make a case for a customer acquisition cost, but you're not paying technically for a new lead through like Google or anything like that. You're leveraging your customer base to go get that customer for you. So that's one thing. But something that I'm really, really big on, which almost no home service business has this. There's only like 2 or 3 I think we work with that has one of these, and one's a car detailer. The ceramic coating's really high level stuff. He just had one professionally made, and it's beautiful, and it's going to work so well. I'm so happy for him. Is a video sales letter. So like if you go to striker-digital.com, you're gonna see there's a video, and it's like a 1.5-minute video, and it's me talking about our processes, showing some of the results. Probably need to get it redone. It's over a year old at this point, but it handles some objections. It lets you know, like, we truly understand. It gives credibility, like, about Bodie's dumpster business. It's like, we're not just marketers. Like, Bodie physically owns a dumpster rental business and like deals with the same type of problems as you all the time. And so we're building trust and credibility because they're seeing me, they're seeing my tone. And people are always like, oh, don't judge other people, but the reality is we're humans, and when you see another human, you're instantly going to judge them because you need to determine if they're a threat or not, or if you can trust them. It's not right or wrong. That's human. That's what's going to happen, and you can't deny reality. That's what it is. And if you put like a 2-minute video on there of you explaining your services, you also get to handle objections during this video as well. because what's going to happen a lot of times is people are going to come onto your site and they're going to build objections and think, oh, I don't think that they can handle this or they can do this. But if they watch your 1 minute video and it's highly engaging, you can't make it, no one's going to watch a 10-minute video, keep it down to a minute and a half, like get your script really dialed in. But when you can show them evidence of this and the types of jobs you handle and, proof, and they're seeing your face and your voice, they know this is a person that's going to actually come to my home and provide this service, because most people listening to this are home service businesses. And, it's very like, you are going to come into someone's home oftentimes where their family is there and their children are there and their valuables are there. They want to be able to trust you. They want to see who's coming to their home. You don't want to just invite anyone into your home. That's very, for a lot of people, that can be very intimidating to do that. For example, we had a problem with we need a new hot water heater, and I had no idea who's coming, and my wife's going to be here, and I had things to do, but I'm like, those are going to have to be pushed back. I can't let my wife be here with the person I don't know coming to my home. Even if I did know him, I probably wouldn't let that happen, but still I'd feel a little bit more comfortable. I wouldn't feel, because I'm a little on edge as someone's coming into my home, like another male's coming in here. It's like, there's a little bit of some sort of friction there, so that's where just let a point to the trust and credibility aspect of human to human relationships, because AI and automation can never replace that when you're transacting with a human. They can't replicate what the human connection.
It's so true. It is so unbelievably true. And I'm glad that you brought that up. And I think this is one area that I used to care a lot about. It's like, man, what are people going to think if I get on, if I get on camera and do an ad, or if I hold a phone up like this and look like I'm doing a selfie video or whatever to talk about our service. What are people going to think? What are my friends going to think? What's my family going to think? What are our local community? I used to care deeply about that. And I finally just got to the point where I'm like, do I care about this business succeeding? If yes, what do I need to do? I don't care if I'm uncomfortable. I'm going to push through that and just start showcasing that, hey, this is our team. This is who we are. This is what we deliver. And I would encourage everybody listening for that. If you're going to start a business, or if you do currently own a business, and if you are the owner, or if you are, one of the leaders of the business, put yourself out there, because it pays dividends. If you truly care about delivering, we do. I care so much about delivering the best product possible. And it probably has a lot to do with that ego thing that we were talking about earlier. It's I don't care if I'm lifting weights or wrestling or playing football or whatever. I just want to be the best that I can personally be, because it's a personal challenge, right? But at the same time, in striving after that, being the best you can possibly be, you in turn give your customers a phenomenal product, right? And so I care so much about that.
Yep.
And if that's you, whenever you're starting, what Andy mentioned, the video sales letter, when somebody lands on your website, if you can add some video there, I know that this is an area that a lot of home service businesses, we even do better about this on Bear Claw's website, but a lot of home service business could benefit from either owner or a key leader or manager. Hey, it's Austin from Bear Claw. Here's our team. Here's our leader, right? Here's our field crew manager. Here's our sales and estimating manager. This is the person you're going to be dealing with whenever you hire us. We are committed to delivering 5-star service. Showcasing that type of stuff. I'm interested to see where the next evolution of service business websites. And it seemed like a lot of them could benefit from something like that.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So they're definitely going to evolve, because a lot of people so this is internet marketing knowledge is having this. So I think we've talked about before, I think you've read Russell Brunson's .com secrets. And in that, I read a quarter of the book and I put it down and I said, I don't need any more. I got the information I need. I'll come back to this if I do, but I have enough to act on at this point. And in the video, he talks about the importance of a video sales letter to handle objections and things like that. But what you were talking about, that type of video setup for you, once you get that equipment wrapped and people can see that, that would also not just make a killer video for the page, but that would be a killer video for a Facebook retargeting campaign. So, like if you go to an e-commerce store and you're looking to buy a shirt, and then you open up Instagram or Facebook and, oh, there they are again, they're retargeting you. That would be a really excellent retargeting video, I think, because it's pretty personalized to an extent. If a random person lands on there, maybe they watch the video there, but you want people to see you multiple times. So something that I want to do for Stryker, like in order for Stryker to go big to the next level, we need to suffocate people with our content to the point you can't go anywhere without seeing our face. Whether we're gonna send you a cold email, you're gonna come to it's going to be a good offer. It's going to share social proof. You're going to come to our website. You're going to watch a VSL. Then you're going to open up Facebook and Instagram. We're going to be there again. You're going to get on YouTube. There we are. And those are the biggest businesses. Like if you're talking about, like I'm talking about digital businesses right now, but like physical businesses can do this to an extent. It's very possible to be done, but the biggest businesses are everywhere. They're nonstop everywhere. Someone I really look up to on Twitter, I'm in their coaching program, Client Ascension. His name is Daniel Fazio. He's called Email Wizard on Twitter, and he is Russell Brunson 2.0. He is a beast. His YouTube videos are so entertaining as well. If you haven't watched them, like if you're a home service business owner, you can watch these and get plenty of value out of these, even though he only talks about internet marketing and building agencies and things like that. They do everything right. And just like to nerd out on this a bit, because you might find this interesting, something that they do. So they started out, he's the cold email wizard. He, like a long time ago, he made a cold email course, and he sold it probably for like stupid cheap, probably like $300, something he should have charged like $3,000 for. And that went crazy. Like that blew up cold email. He kind of like really was like one of the originators of pushing cold email abroad. And then he partnered with people who had a cold email lead generation agency, and they were running into a ton of problems specific to running an agency like that. So they built a software around it that solves that problem. That software is called ListKit. And then they built a coaching program for agency owners, and it's the best. This set an absolute standard for what a coaching program is. I mean, there's like 30 coaches in there. You're assigned your student success coach. You're going to pay for it. It's basically college. But if you go in there and you actually do the things that they want you to do, like there's no doubt you get a return on investment. It would be literally, you'd have to really mess up to not be successful going through this program. I basically just joined for the network. I didn't go for the whole program. I just paid for some friends, kind of. But what I'm getting to that's really interesting is they have this software, and then one of the issues to really scale this software is that there's not enough cold emailers out there. So then in this coaching program, they teach you how to cold email, right? They're creating a total addressable market, because you need to buy your leads from somewhere. You need to get the emails and things like that. You can get them from other sources, but they want you to use their source. So the coaching program also builds the software that they have. And then in order to even create more cold emailers, they started on this ad campaign that's a done for you cold email setup. They'll set everything up for you. So you pretty much just have to press go, in order to get it started. And they'll leave you with Loom videos of how to do it. Everything you need is going to be solved in there. But they run that ad campaign that's a done for you service. And then if they sell those, it pays for their ad cost. But then they need to keep getting more leads to send to, and they need to buy them from somewhere. Therefore, you subscribe to their software to do this. And it's just full circle. It's so freaking smart. It's so amazing. But like you can like take these lessons and translate them into other businesses as well. I mean, you should be able to pull the best of certain areas and bring it in. Like, for example, you're reading a book about, like, I'm reading a book. I'm not even like a football fan. Like, I watch football, but I'm not like big into it. I'm reading Nick Saban leadership principles right now. And from the way he runs his team, it's the same way as you run an operation, you run a company to be the best in the world. And it's nothing to do about my agency business, but I can pull information from that and apply that to what I'm doing today. And I just wanted to share you that story, because I think that, like, if you like to nerd out about stuff like that, like I do, then that's going to be really interesting to you, how they have that whole funnel set up.
Oh, I love it, man. I love it. Because here's the thing. The best home services business, and hear me out on this, listeners, the best home service business owners of the new age, this new wave of service business owners, are going to be people who take principles from the tech internet marketing world and they apply those inside home service marketing and sales. Mark my words on that. Hang my hat on that one.
Yeah, I'm there with you.
What book is that? that you're talking about? Nick Saban.
I think it's literally called Nick Saban Leadership Principles or so. And again, like, because so this is someone who, like, my dad wasn't a football fan, so I just naturally really never was a football fan. I've never watched it, but I just don't even watch any sports at all anymore. But I love learning about the people that are best at what they do, and people in sports are often great to read about that. So like I want to read about like Kobe, Michael Jordan. I'm reading about Nick Saban right now. But yeah, that book is, I'm only like, and when I read books, I only read half of them ever typically. I don't know what other people think about that, but typically I'll read half the book and I'm like, I got it. I get the message that you're trying to convey to me. I got it. And because I feel like most books could be like 100 pages. They don't need to be 200 pages. It's like someone's had a standard number and like you have to hit it. And I'm like, I don't think so. I think most of these could be, you can get the message in 100 pages, and that's all. That's all I like to read. After that's too much for me.
I used to listen to a lot of Tim Ferriss, and one of his hacks was read the first and last page of every chapter and get the meat of the book.
You could do that. That is true.
But it's interesting you bring this up because I've been really, really interested in like how does Nick Saban, so like in college, our offensive coordinator came from Alabama, and he came to be our head coach, and he coached under Saban. And so he brought a lot of those principles. And I think about a lot of the things that he talked about. And so I've been really interested in, because I've had any personal experience or like been around any or studied any sort of like what Alabama does, but I am interested in it. So I'm going to go check that book out. I've got one more thing for you before we wrap up here. This has been so much fun. Thanks for being on.
I'm having a blast. I'm so excited. I'm almost sweating over here. I'm getting into it.
I love it, man. If you were starting a service business right now, which one would you do? You can only pick one service.
I think about this a lot. I'm going to give a couple of ones I like, and then I'll try and narrow down to the one that I would pick. But so one of the issues I see with a lot of people is you want one with at least recurring revenue or a decent sized ticket price, or else the volume has to be insane. For example, I mean, these businesses can be successful. We work with junk removal companies that are super successful, but it's you have to constantly hunt to eat. It's not recurring. You know, once you get the one customer, you got to get the next, and you got to get the next, you got to get the next. I don't really love that model. I think there's something that's more sustainable that can be done. But if, for example, like a roofer, you have to go get the next customer, but that's okay because your ticket prices are so extraordinarily high. You don't need to do the volume to run a good sized business versus when your average ticket size might be $300, you need a lot of volume. So there's three that I really like: pool cleaning, pest control, and roofing. And I think pool cleaning and pest control are obviously, like, I don't want to talk down on like the operational intensity of it, but I think those two are probably easier than a roofing company where there's way more risk involved. I mean, you have your workers on a roof. That's a big danger. You got all these people up on a roof. There's tons of insurance. There's definitely more overhead and equipment and everything that you have to do. The logistics, I feel like, are probably much more intense than cleaning the pool or going and spraying for pest control. So roofing is that I'd be very, very interested in. And if you want to take it to a high level, you know, that's the one to do. But if you're looking for lifestyle, I'm going to push roofing out right now, even though I would be very excited and very interested in that. And I would narrow down to pool cleaning and pest control because they're both recurring services. And once you lock in a customer, there's, for what reason are they really going to churn out of your service other than they can't afford it? You know, because a pool cleaning is like a discretionary spend, right? You don't have to do it, like just like a house cleaning, you don't have to do it. And I think you can find really good techs, like people to work for you within pool cleaning and pest control. Where what I notice when I talk with, will happen in every business, but we work with a lot of cleaning companies, and you need to like also operate in an area. This is something PJ McGarry he really understands on a high level of where his service market is that it's in a place where there's a lot of wealth concentration, but there's the labor pool very close by that's willing to do this work on a 1099 basis. And not, you can't always find that. And sometimes that labor pool is not going to be your most reliable, but it would be easier and more sustainable, I think, to have a W-2 employee in a pest control and pool cleaning business. So, but after talking to Casey, doing a podcast with him, I think pest control is like my top one right now. But obviously, this is like, it's a little bit ignorant of me because I don't truly know all the ins and outs of the operational side of the business. But what I see from the outside, I like pest control a lot.
Yeah. When I interviewed him on our podcast, I was like, I think that's the title of this episode. Is pest control the best home service business model? Because he's saying one tech can service 400K of revenue.
Yeah, that's
And I know
crazy.
that they're heavily on their sales force, heavily invested in their sales force as well. But I mean, yeah, that dude's gonna build a big business, and I'm excited to watch him. All right, who are the top 5 best operators that you're working with that people should go follow and check out
Oh,
online to learn from starting a good home service business?
yeah. So it's tough because some of them don't share a ton, although they're very high level operators. Um, PJ McGeary for cleaners, he's really, really high level. He's really good, and he understands the do. I don't know if he thinks about it in this concept, but he does it. The do things that don't scale, he does it. Whether he like thinks about it, like recognizes that he's doing it or not, he does it, and his business is being very successful because of that. Malcolm that you had on from Poolology, very high level. I meet with him once a month and we talk, and it's about SEO and things, but I try and like squeeze in some time to just pick his brain and learn from him as well while I have his time there. He's really good. You obviously, you're in the top 5 there.
Not
Other
looking
than
for a pat
that,
on the back. You can't add me in there.
well, okay. Well, I'm just being completely transparent and honest that like if I was trying to start this, like I would be following you. Um, there's another guy that we work with. His name's Lou of Next Gen Power Wash, and he's from my hometown area, which is that person that we have ranking number 1 across that area. But he's not on social media. But he's somebody that he was one of a very early client for us that I've learned a ton from, because another thing about all these guys is he's very, very concentrated on the customer experience and making sure every service is delivered exceptionally. And he will stay and he'll talk with you for an hour after a job. He'll show you around everything he did after he's a pressure washer. So he'll walk you around the house and say, hey, this is what was here. I took care of this. And he told me this one example of, he has like a really well built out truck. He put everything away. He thought he was done. He was showing the person around and he did a long job. And they got to a place. He's like, I missed that. I missed that. And he's like, we're going to do this again in an hour. I'm going to go back. I'm going to take care of this. And like some people might try and just like push it off, like, oh, I don't want to get all that back out. Like I already got paid and things like that. Or they might try and not even point it out to the person at all, but he's willing to do that. So those types of aspects make him a really high level operator. Other than that, if I had a list prepared, could probably name off a couple, but though I would say those are the ones for now. PJ, Malcolm's really good. You're really good. And I'm sure I have a bunch of others, but just like off the top of my head, I can't name them at the moment.
And
Oh,
Casey,
I do have one
Casey.
more. Yeah, Casey is one. And then Sam also, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, Allsop, owns a roofing company. And I don't know how to pronounce this guy's name, Josh Singh or something like that. He's been putting out like pieces of content on people. He did one on Bodie. He did one on Sam, and his story was amazing. He through Facebook ads, he built a gym, sold that gym, went to the corporate world for a little bit, worked, built a $50,000 a month marketing agency. Was working primarily with roofing companies. He basically tripled a roofing company's income. And then one of the guys was like, hey, let's just partner up and just do this together. And now they built their roofing business, and it went from like 3 million the first year to like, I think like they're going to do like over 50 million this year. He's a good follow, and he's relatively unknown. He might have 1,200 followers on there, but really high level outputs out of him. He's my other one.
What's his name?
Sam, Allsop. Let me pull up his Twitter real quick. Yeah, so it's Sam, SAM underscore ALLSOPP underscore. He's very, very
Sweet.
good.
I'm gonna give him a follow. Who was the first guy you said? PJ?
Yes, PJ McGeary. Let me pull up his. So it's at PJ MCGEARY. He's a
At
dog.
PJMCGARY.
EARY.
Oh, EA. There we go. All right. Got Casey. Who was the second one? Oh, you said one guy. You said that Lou guy's not on Twitter.
No, Malcolm was the other one of
Oh,
Poolology.
yeah. 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 For those of you who haven't listened, go back and listen to Malcolm's episode. That guy is so dialed. He is so dialed.
Yep, and you can always tell, like, in your first conversation with somebody, you're like, oh, they got it. Like, maybe, like, and then sometimes it's like I had a call with a first time business owner trying to exit the 9 to 5, and he's doing pool cleaning. And I told him, I was like, maybe this is the one, maybe this isn't, but I've talked to enough people, like hundreds of business owners, and I'm getting to a point where, like, I have a pattern recognition. I can tell, like, the people that are just gonna make it work. Doesn't matter the opportunity, like, they will find a way to make it work. And I'm like, I know you can make it work. Maybe it's going to be this, maybe it's not, but don't stop, because you're going to get there. It's just going to take you, it's just a matter of time and consistency, and you'll have it. You just can't stop.
It's such the truth. It's like, and I'm sure same things. Like so many people reach out. It's like, how do I start? How do I start? And I'm happy. Like that is my goal. Like I want, because here my story was like, I was in the corporate 9 to 5. I was literally falling asleep at PM in the afternoon. Like I was the worst employee ever, but I have all this energy to give in other areas of life. Like it's just boring for me. Small businesses lights my brain up. I'm up super early in the morning, just cranking, ready to go. For the people who are withering away in corporate America, my personal mission, especially with what we're doing with owners, is I just want to give you all the resources and everything that I've gone through over the last 20 months to get this business up and off the ground. And I want to help you go from zero to your first 500K. Because if you can hit your first 500K, you're well off to the races. And I think there are other people who are like way better suited to coach you after that. But like, I just want to use the resources that we've put together inside Owner Ops to get there. So like, I've further developed that personal mission. Well, you get, people read, they're like, hey, how do I start? And I'm like, dude, just go in here. Like I have recorded everything for you, and then it's like, oh, but what about this idea? What do you think about this idea? I'm like, dude, it doesn't matter which service you pick. It really doesn't. Like, sure, you can do some market research and maybe that's going to help. But if you really want to go into the most competitive market, New York, right? The most competitive service. And if you really wanted to like make it work, if you really want it, you can make it work. So it doesn't matter about the service. It matters about
Yep.
the person, right? And so to your point, I've been able to, it's really interesting because like most people say like, oh yeah, I'm all in, I'm all in, I'm all in. It's like, okay, you just wait, see if the action is taken. What I love
Yep.
about, and I'll keep, sorry, I should be keeping his name private, but the guy who bought Colorado Power Wash from me, who's like taking action, like before he hired me the money for it. You know what I mean? Like I was like, look, here's this lead, Sherwin-Williams, 28 locations, go. He'd already met with him the next day. Like, look, I met him in person. This guy's like all about. He'd never even ran a power washer. Oh, I don't know if he's never ran a power washer before, but he's never done a power washing job. But he goes and quotes this commercial account with no shame, just goes, right. Talked to him,
Yep.
got a voicemail from him yesterday. He's like, yeah, I was out prospecting. I got like 10 new leads on commercial accounts right now. That's day 2 in the business. So that guy, and I told him this yesterday, I'll place my bet on you because I know you're going to figure out a way to make it work.
Yep. Yeah, it comes down to investing in people. Same for hiring employees, right? It's the same. That's it. You're investing in the person.
But like the people who just like if you're sitting thinking about the idea, like just pick one and go. Thinking is never going to get you there, right? Action is the one that's going to get you there.
Yep. Yeah. And I think like we can wrap up, I guess, with like goal setting to this point because since we're talking about someone that's getting started, the way that Bodie and I did Stryker, and this is the same approach I would take to now anything I would ever do in life. Like if I was building a software or something, I would take the same approach. It was like, we are going to commit to this for 1 year and we're going to give it our all for 1 year, because you can't just go for 3 months. Not enough. 6 months, not enough. You need to at least do 1 year. And it was like, whether we make it to like a point where we make 5,000 a month or we can do 10,000 a month, it doesn't matter. 1 year, we're all in. If it doesn't work after 1 year, we'll scrap and try something else. But you need to give it 1 year. And now that's the only way that I would do any goal setting for business wise. It's like, this is the only singular thing I'm focused on for 1 year, because it's so easy to get caught up in shiny object syndrome. I'm sure you deal with this too, because especially once you reach a certain level in business, your mind is open to all these opportunities. There's so many opportunities. And then it's like, well, I have this one that's working really well right now, but there's this other hot girl over here, that I could look at, and potentially she looked fun. But I have my loyal wife here that I love having my life with, and I know we can build something great together. And then it's just like, pushing those other ones away to the side. It's like, I have the one that works. This is the one, and we're going to stick with this, and we're going to stick out the commitment here. And that's really how you win, because I mean, sure, sometimes people start a business in 2 months. They're like, oh, it's a crazy, but those are outliers. Those are anomalies. They don't typically happen. If you do, you're lucky. Like, you're very lucky.
Definitely. And it's like the people who exit in their 20s for 10 million bucks on a SaaS. It's like, I've read posts from those people before. They go through this early life crisis of, what is life? Where do I go? It's like, the fun in life comes from having a challenge to actively pursue. And so when I stopped trying to I need to have this exit by the time I'm 30, like when I stopped having this like unrealistic expectations, and I just transitioned it to, I'm just going to build this business for the fun of building and the business and try to make it as best as we possibly can. Things start working after that, right?
Yep.
You said it early on. It's about the game. It's about playing the game. And if you're going to play the game, if you're going to wrestle, you're not going out there to try to lose.
You're trying to win.
And winning can mean whatever. Like, doesn't have to mean just like crushing your competition. It's like, winning can simply mean a challenge with yourself every single day. Can I wake up and can I apply active effort towards this goal every single day?
Mark Cuban said it really well. I listened to a podcast with him one time, and he's like, because he owns the Mavericks, right? But he's like, business is the ultimate sport. When the Mavericks go out to play, there's a set roles, there's a set time you're going to play. The players you're going to play against. There's not really any surprises that's going to happen to you, and it's just during this set period of time. After that, the game's over. Then your training and things are like outside of that. But he's like, business, like, it doesn't stop. Like, you're like, there's like, you don't even know who your competition could be at some points of time. It's the ultimate sport to play that's 24/7, that you can play forever as long as you have your mind. Even physically you could be withering away, but you can still play the sport of business forever. And you can't possibly physically play football or whatever the sport is forever. It's impossible. You definitely get hurt at a certain point in time, but you can play business forever. And it's just like it gets to be a little kid. I actually had this thought last week. I was like, I didn't even know what day it was, because I just worked every single day pretty much. And I was like, you know what? I'm stressed a lot, but this takes me back to when I was a kid, and it was like I was like 14. You're sleeping at a different friend's house every night, doing things, and like you wake up in the summer, and it's like, could be a Saturday, could be a Wednesday. You forget even what day it is. You're just having fun with your friends. And I'm like, I'm living that. Like, I should step back and like appreciate that. Like, I'm living this right now. Like, I didn't even know it was Wednesday. It could have been Monday. I didn't know. And I was like, that's cool. That's exciting to reflect on. Like, that's it. You get to wake up and do the things that excite you every day. And that's the fun part.
For sure. Yeah, this is a long-term game, and I'm glad to be doing business with people like yourself who do it in the same way. Andy, this has been awesome. Thanks for being on. Let's go ahead and wrap this up. We're approaching the hour 40 mark here.
Yeah, it was a long one. It was a good one, though.
It's a good one, man. It's kind of like what you're just talking about. You don't even realize it. You look up, 2 hours have gone by.
Alrighty, I'm set to go.
Well, yeah, thanks for being on, Andy. Where can people find you guys online?
Yep. So our website, striker-digital.com. You can find us there, find information about our services if you're interested. But you can find me on Twitter, Andy_WLKER. And then most of you listen to this, you'll probably already know Bodie because he's all over Twitter. He's probably shooting off 20 tweets a day. He's dumpster rental guy. So you can find one of us too there.
Rage tweeting left and right, slanging dumpsters.
Yeah, he's funny. He's just a real hustler. He's a real hustler. He just makes things happen. Like how he can possibly do dumpsters and this with me is just like unreal.
It's insane. Insane. No, I love working with you guys. It's been fun, and I'm looking forward to more good years.
Yep, sounds
So
good.
thanks again for being on, Andy. And thank you guys for listening to another episode of the Owner Operator Podcast. It's like building a service business. We talk about it all the time. 5-star reviews are super important. So if you are enjoying these episodes, if you're getting some value out of these, we kind of just 30 seconds and leave us a quick 5-star review on Apple or Spotify. And then if you're listening on YouTube, would you mind to just like and subscribe to the channel? You'll get notifications whenever we drop new episodes. We did just launch a Bear Claw specific YouTube, so I'm separating the two, kind of doing more business related content on this YouTube channel, and then also for Bear Claw we'll be doing more project specific. So if you want to follow along with more equipment type videos, go look it up. We are at Bear Claw Land Services is the YouTube tag. Once again, thanks for listening, and we'll see you guys in the next episode. Don't forget, work hard, do your best, never settle for less. See you guys in the next one.